In at number 10, Kanye West. Kanye West and Coachella have a difficult history. In early 2022, when Kanye got in a feud with Trevor Noah, a petition was started demanding that Kanye be banned from performing at Coachella in the future. The petition was launched March 17th and racked up more than 29,000 signatures, calling for Kanye to be removed from the festival's lineup. The description of the petition states, quote, "No one seems to want to stand up to him, Kanye, and the ones that do, he puts under fire as well. Coachella should be ashamed of themselves and should not be giving him any more of a platform. Please sign and share." Although Coachella did not give in to this petition, Kanye did not end up performing at the festival, as he decided to drop out just 2 weeks before the occasion. A source told E! that West dropped out to, quote, "focus on himself." The festival was adding too much pressure to him amid his Kim Kardashian divorce. Since Kanye left them hanging last minute, it makes sense they would not call on him to headline ever again. In at number 10, Drake. Drake's 2015 Coachella performance was another that was universally labeled one of the worst ever. In 2015, Drake was the king of hip-hop, and fans couldn't wait to see him headline at Coachella. But it was a complete disaster that included appearances from Madonna and Nicki Minaj. That cringy Madonna kiss on stage was one moment I don't think fans will ever forget. One website even declared Drake was, quote, "the worst headliner in Coachella history." Even crazier, Drake agrees that the set was terrible. When asked about Coachella, Drake said, quote, "I took an L for the first time. I just have to reassess what went wrong with my judgment." Even though most people were pretty hard on Drake, a lot of people pointed out that being a rapper at a festival like that is difficult because he didn't have a band to help people stay entertained. In at number 9, Travis Scott. After the Astroworld Festival tragedy took the lives of over 10 Travis Scott fans, many festivals were reconsidering having Scott on their roster. One of the most talked about festivals was Coachella, where Scott was set to perform later that year. However, after Astroworld, many petitions popped up asking the festival to cut him from their lineup. The most popular Change.org petition racked up over 60,000 signatures in a matter of days. In the weeks that followed, Coachella officially announced that they dropped him as a performer. According to Variety, Coachella told the rapper's agent, Cara Lewis, that it intended to remove him from the lineup and would pay a fee to have him no longer perform, since at the time controversy surrounding the rapper was too much for the festival to take on, specifically since safety and security are the most important aspects of any festival. In at number 9, Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion raised some eyebrows with her Coachella performance after she decided to perform a diss track to one of her exes. Near the end of her set, Megan decided to share a new track with fans, which left some fans confused. Over a reworked instrumental to a Wu-Tang remix, she rapped a very personal diss track. From some of the lyrics, we can assume the track was aimed at Tory Lanez. Lanez is the rapper who Megan is in a court battle with after she accused him of shooting her in the foot. In the track, Megan disses the women that this person is hanging out with and claims the only reason this guy is getting any women is because of her. In at number 8, Radiohead. The band Radiohead did the unthinkable and walked off the Coachella stage during their performance after the performance was plagued with issues. The band headlined the 2017 show, but during the performance the band experienced tons of issues with the sound. First, the sound went out during a performance of their song 15 Step, and it was so bad they decided to leave the stage to regroup. When they eventually came back, they started to play the song Let Down, but they were forced to walk off stage yet again after the sound cut out. When the band returned, frontman Tom York addressed the issue. Billboard reported, quote, asking the crowd, "Can you actually hear me?" He then added, quote, "I'd like to tell a joke to lighten the mood, but we're Radiohead, so F that." The band ended up playing the rest of the 2-hour set with minor interruptions, but the fans were outraged with Coachella for not fixing the sound issues immediately. Since the band made this festival look bad, there's a high chance they won't be asked back. In at number 7, Sly Stone. The funk legend performed at the 2010 Coachella Festival, but the performance was overshadowed by a strange rant from the singer. In the end, LA Weekly called the performance a, quote, "sad spectacle." The singer was reportedly homeless less than a year before his Coachella performance that was supposed to be his big comeback, but it was a complete disaster. During this performance, Stone cut his songs short, asked how long he had to stay on stage to get paid, and went on a rant about his former manager Jerry Goldstein. The rant against Goldstein was so bad that the manager ended up suing Stone for slander because Stone claimed it, quote, implied he was a thief. Stone then countersued Goldstein as well as an entertainment attorney for diverting royalties owed to him, and he actually won $5 million in 2015. Even though he ended up winning this dispute, the spectacle caused long-term damage to his reputation and Coachella for hosting the disaster. In at number 8, CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green's Coachella performance has gone down in infamy as one of the worst Coachella performances of all time. Green performed at the 2011 Coachella Festival, and his behavior left a lot of fans frustrated. First, he showed up about 30 minutes late to the set, which led to many fans booing him and leaving the stage. When he finally did show up, he only had 20 minutes left for his set. Instead of taking accountability and apologizing, he decided to blame his lateness on the festival. He came to the stage and said, quote, "Sorry guys, I just landed. Y'all still gonna party with me? I only have 20 minutes. It isn't my fault. They should have given me a better time slot." He only played 5 songs before the sound was cut and he walked off stage. The whole thing was just a mess. And at number 7, Kings of Leon. I'm sure not everyone thought Kings of Leon's set was all that horrible, but some people definitely did. One LA Times writer slammed the 2011 performance, pointing out all the problems with the set. In one part of the piece, the writer says about the band, quote, "Lead singer Followill's voice is far from ugly, but when he lapses into his tomcat sounds or his strange frog croak, it's a misuse of a fine instrument." The writer also called the band's most popular songs, quote, "experiments they've outgrown." Ouch. All in all, this writer found the band's performance to be pretty lackluster. And at number 6, Radiohead. While Radiohead was performing at the 2017 Coachella Festival, their performance issues got so bad, the band decided to walk off stage. The band headlined the 2017 show, but during the performance they experienced tons of issues with the sound. First, the sound went out during a performance of their song 15 Step, and it was so bad they decided to leave the stage to regroup. When they eventually came back, they started to play the song Let Down, but they were forced to walk off stage yet again after the sound cut out. When the band returned, frontman Tom York addressed the issue, telling the crowd, quote, "Can you actually hear me?" He then added, "I'd like to tell a joke to lighten the mood, but we're Radiohead, so F it." The band ended up playing the rest of the 2-hour set with minor interruptions, but the issues put a huge damper on the overall performance. And at number 6, The Cure. In 2009, while The Cure was performing at Coachella, the band went way over time. It was so bad that the festival was forced to pull the plug. Midnight is the usual cutoff point for the festival. When The Cure was on stage, they decided they did not want to follow this rule. Instead, they refused to stop playing and thought they would be able to carry on for their fans. But it's not that simple. Coachella is so strict about their midnight cutoff point that they decided to pull the plug on the band so their set would end. While the band was performing the song Boys Don't Cry, the festival pulled the plug on the instruments. Then they blasted field lights all over the crowd to let them know it was time to go. Reportedly, the band still kept playing and some fans rushed to the front of the crowd to hear the final notes of the song unplugged. But clearly after breaking the rules, the band is not allowed back. And number 4, Louis Tomlinson. Louis got in some hot water when he decided to call out the festival for not having enough bands. When the 2018 lineup was announced, the singer took to Twitter and asked, quote, "Where the F are all the bands? It's a festival." That year, all 3 headliners were solo acts, which clearly did not sit well with the singer, who rose to fame through his boy band One Direction. In the end, tons of people on Twitter commented back that there were a lot of bands on the list, so his criticism was not really accurate. Nothing more was ever really said about it after the fact, but I'm sure the festival did not like being called out like that. And at number 3, Kelly Berglund. Disney actress Kelly Berglund was arrested at the 2016 Coachella Festival for trying to use a fake ID. The 20-year-old star apparently tried to meet up with some of her friends in a 21+ area. When she tried to use the fake, she was caught by police. She was then arrested, slapped with a citation, and got her mugshot taken. But she was quickly sent back to the festival where she got to enjoy the rest of the weekend. She was spotted at the Paper Magazine party the next night, so clearly she still had a good time. And at number 2, Gerard Butler. In 2012, Gerard Butler was one of the most talked about celebrities at Coachella, because the actor was accused of hooking up with a random woman in a porta potty at the festival. At the time, Butler was fresh out of rehab for his substance issues, however he was apparently not shy at all around the women. One source told Perez Hilton that Butler and a brunette woman were, quote, grinding like they were at a middle school dance and getting very handsy. Then all of a sudden the pair made their way to a porta potty. Then after a while the pair came back out and joined the festival once again. The source continued that he, quote, didn't seem to care who was watching. And finally, number 1, Justin Bieber. While Justin Bieber was in his rebellious era in 2015, he started a scene at Coachella. While Drake was on stage performing, Bieber tried to get into a VIP area of the stage, but that area happened to be at full capacity. When security told Justin he was not allowed in because of this capacity issue, he threw a fit and started screaming at the guards. Bieber yelled that he was invited by Drake himself and refused to leave. That's when a security guard grabbed Justin and put him in a chokehold. Then after that altercation, Justin left. E! News also reported that year that Bieber, quote, caused an enormous scene and threw a fit when Kendall Jenner wasn't allowed into a party because she was too young. All in all, it's clear that Justin was very entitled at this time, and I'm sure he got a stern warning from Coachella that his behavior would not be allowed at the festival. Halfway number 5, Sly Stone. While performing at the 2010 festival, Sly Stone ruined his own performance with a strange rant. While performing his songs, he decided to mix things up and rant about some issues going on with his life at the time. It was so shocking that LA Weekly called the performance a quote, sad spectacle. The singer was reportedly homeless less than a year before his Coachella performance, and Coachella was supposed to be his big comeback. But it was a complete disaster. During the performance, Stone cut songs short, asked how long he had to stay on stage to get paid, and went on a rant about his former manager, Jerry Goldstein. The rant against the manager even resulted in a lawsuit for slander because Stone implied he was a thief. Stone then countersued Goldstein for diverting royalties owed to him, and he actually won a $5 million verdict in 2015. Even though he ended up winning this dispute, the spectacle caused long-term damage to his reputation. In at number 4, The Cure. This was bad or good, depending on your view of the situation. The Cure headlined Coachella in 2009 and went way over their allotted time slot. Coachella always ends at midnight, that's the cutoff point that the festival will never go over. But while The Cure was on stage and midnight was approaching, the band did not want to stop playing. They continued on to the delight of their fans. However, Coachella was not happy about this, and a little after midnight, Coachella decided to pull the plug on the band so their set would finally end. While the band was performing the song Boys Don't Cry, the festival pulled the plug on the instruments. Then they blasted field lights all over the crowd to let them know it was time to go. Reportedly, the band still kept playing, and some fans rushed to the front of the crowd to hear the final notes of the song unplugged. I'll let you decide if it was a good or bad move. In at number 3, Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish got some major heat after her 2019 Coachella performance, and she owned up to the terrible show in her V magazine cover story. At the time of her performance, Billie was only 17 and was most likely not ready for a show of that size. Billie said about Coachella, quote, "I really resent the things that were surrounding me during that period of time. I had that ruined for me by a person, but that's okay." Billie never clarified who that person was, but we can assume it was her ex-boyfriend, Brandon Quinton Adams. If you're wondering what made it so bad, Billie forgot the lyrics to the song All Good Girls Go to Hell, started 40 minutes late, ran out of breath, and tripped on stage. Even Billie's fans agree that the show was not her best, and are excited to see what she brings to Coachella in 2022, as she will be headlining the event alongside Harry Styles. In at number 2, Damon Albarn. During Billie Eilish's 2022 Coachella headline performance, she brought out a number of guests like Khalid and Damon Albarn. Albarn was brought out to sing Billie's song Getting Older with her because he had covered the song in the past. Albarn is best known as a member of Gorillaz and Blur. But it seems that a lot of Billie's fans had no idea who he was, and when he came onto the stage, many fans thought he was actually her dad. Even though Billie made it clear who he was when she brought him out, introducing him as, quote, "This man changed my life in a lot of ways, and changed my complete view of what music could be, what art could be, and what creation could be," even calling him a genius. To make matters worse, when Albarn finally started singing with Billie, many fans pointed out that it seemed like he didn't know the lyrics to the song, Getting Older, which is funny because, like I said before, he did a cover of the song. And finally, number 1, Saweetie. Saweetie had an unforgettable performance at this year's Coachella after she suffered a wardrobe malfunction. Saweetie was on stage in a matching bikini top and skirt combo. But while she was dancing for the crowd, her shirt moved more than it should have, and she exposed her nipple to the crowd. She seemed to be unfazed and continued singing with Brazilian singer Anitta when her top suddenly slipped down. Unfortunately, this is not the first time that she had a wardrobe malfunction. She had one just a few weeks ago at the Oscars. Saweetie wore an incredibly revealing black dress to the Vanity Fair Oscar party, and since she was so exposed, it makes sense that she had a slip-up. It seems that someone must have told her about the malfunction afterwards, because when she arrived at the Chateau Marmont in West Hollywood, she had a trench coat over her dress, and she had her hand covering her private parts, which were exposed previously.